Good morning, good afternoon to everyone listening to us. Here I am again. I am Felipe Munoz from Jato Dynamics in our podcast episode. Today we have a very interesting topic. We have with me Mohsen Aletaha. Mohsen, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Philippe. Good afternoon. And I hope we have a very great conversation.
I'm sure we will. Mohsen is the CEO of Kodro Bank. It's a car news website and reviews of cars in Iran, with more than 3 million visits per month on the website. It's a big, let's say, it's an authority in terms of car industry in Iran. I had the pleasure to meet Mohsen 1 year ago in Beijing Motor Show. And we kept in touch because I'd like to know more about Iran. We usually don't have any news coming from Iran when it's about cars. It's mainly negative news in the West. But Iran is a very interesting market. It's something totally different from what we've seen so far. It's a big market. We're talking of more than 1.2 million units per year because it's a big country with more than 80 million inhabitants. But still, so we're talking of a big market that is not related to anything in terms of industry, in terms of regulation, in terms of the cars you see on the roads. And in terms, I guess, on its future. So Mohsen is here. I wanted to bring Mohsen to this episode because he's an expert on the Iranian car market, and we'd like to know more about it. Mohsen, how long you been working in the industry?
Actually, before that, you already know a lot about Iranian market. I didn't expect that. It's actually more than 14 years that I'm working in this industry. It just started by a car website, and I just wanted to share my experiences reviewing cars with my users. And then it got bigger and bigger, and now we are a great website with millions of users per month. But as you said, Iranian market is absolutely different compared to other markets. Everything goes in a different way here.
It's good to have you here. Thanks for being here with us to talk about Iran. Well, your role in Kodro Bank, by the way, Kodro means car in English, right?
Yes, exactly. Actually,
it's in Persian.
Yeah, exactly. It means that bank of cars.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's a website where you guys test cars, new cars, and give news about the Iranian, global industry in general, but focused on Iran. And I've seen, actually, I follow you on Instagram, and you have a lot of car reviews. And sometimes I am confused by the fact that Iran is somehow a closed market to imports because of the sanctions. But sometimes I see you driving cars that we see in the West. But so before we get there, why don't you give us an overview of what the Iranian car market is, how it is, what the main players are, and just a bit understanding of how it is, so the audience understands why we're talking about Iran. Because once again, this is not a small market; it's a big one. It's the size almost as it's bigger than Spain, almost the size as Italy. So it's something that we should include in our analysis, because Iran it's a big thing. Give us some more overview. Give us an overview of what's going on. What is the Iranian car market?
Okay, that's a great start. We have already around 15 automakers in Iran, but more than 70% of the market share is controlled by two state-owned companies. Eco and Saipa. Actually, we call the first one Iran Khodro in Iran, but you can call it Eco. It's much easier. And Eco,
IKCO,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Eco is the biggest automaker in Iran, and it produces more than 500,000 cars per year.
Wow.
And this, yeah, exactly. And the second one is Saipa, which produces more than 300,000 cars per year annually. But actually, both of them are controlled by the government. Frankly speaking, couple of months ago, Eco was sold to a private company. But let's not talk about it today because it's very complicated and a very sophisticated route is going on here. So let's talk about it later. But after that, the remaining 30% of the market share is controlled by the private companies. We have one private companies with producing more than 100,000 cars, which is Modiran. It produces Chery cars in Iran, the Chery automobile, the Chinese brand. But the all remaining private cars are producing less than 100,000 cars. But if we take a look at them overallly, all of them, as you said, and I didn't expect you to know it, last year, actually, our year is a little different, as you already know.
Yeah. The calendar is different.
Exactly. Yeah. Our calendar is a little different. So I say, if I say last year, I mean March to March. I mean last year is
All right.
March 2024 to March 2025.
25.
Yeah, exactly. Last year, we could produce a little more than 1.2 million cars, and the previous year was 1.3 million cars. Compared to the whole market around the world, it's maybe a little more than 1%, because you already know that China is producing more than 30 million cars per year. It's a huge number.
Yeah.
It's very huge. But comparing to European companies, for example, we are bigger than the UK, we are a little bigger than the Italy, we are a little same as France, I think. But answering the question you asked, that we are reviewing some modern cars in Iran sometimes. And this is not the whole story. Since a couple of years ago, around 3 years ago, we started to import cars again. Actually, we are trying to import around only 50,000 cars annually, which is less than, I think, 5% of the whole market. It's nothing. And there are many strict regulations about it. For example, if you want to import a car, if this is a petrol engine, it needs to be less than 20,000 euros. It needs to be less than 2.5 liter engine, and some other regulations as well. So government is forcing company to import very economical car with very low fuel consumptions. With very, very high tariff. It's hard to believe, but for example, sometimes if you want to import a 2-liter petrol engine car, you need to pay around 100% tariff, which is a lot. Yeah, exactly, it's a lot. On the other side, government just has provided only 5% for EV cars, which is great. 5% is almost nothing. And we already have, for example, Volkswagen ID4 here. We already have Toyota BZ4X. But the other side, we have many different models of Volkswagen. We have Toyota, we have Mercedes, BMWs, or Hyundai, Kia, but all of them with different tariffs, different regulations. And the fourth is importing very economical cars.
Okay, so but just to better understand, so basically we're talking of I mean, first of all, you guys talk about production, not sales, right? The figures we get from Iran is about production, which is mostly sold, right?
Exactly, yeah. In
So
advance.
Iran, yeah, that's another interesting topic here because you guys produce all of these cars in Iran. So we're talking of a bigger market in terms of production than Italy or the UK. You're right, but everything is for the local consumption. You don't export much. Some
No.
exceptions, Azerbaijan probably, right?
Very, very few to Iraq or some other countries, but I prefer to say nothing.
And the imports you just mentioned, they correspond to any car, but only coming from China.
Actually, this is not the regulation that they have provided, but due to sanctions and due to many difficulties for about financial issues and stuff, companies prefer, and it's much easier for them to import cars from China. But we already have many Hyundais imported from Japan, many Mitsubishis imported from Japan. We already have them. And we already have BMWs imported from Germany. But the number is not too high.
Okay, but my understanding was that it's not possible to, Iran cannot, because of the sanctions, there cannot be any trade with Europe, Japan, the US, and many other countries, no?
The governmental companies cannot do it, but private companies could do it. It's possible for them to do it, but not with huge number. For example, you cannot trade with a Japanese brand to import, for example, 500,000 cars. Maybe only the different parts. Every part is around, for example, 1,000 cars, and then again and again.
And it doesn't matter where the car is coming from.
Exactly, it doesn't matter.
However, you're saying that the imports from China are easier.
Yeah, much easier.
Okay. So, and this is why basically the cars, the imported cars you're seeing, actually, this is what, from what I see in your Instagram account, is basically Chinese-made cars from any brand. So for example, this week you posted something about the Mercedes C-Class, but the L, the one that is only available in China, right?
Exactly, you're right.
So, which is funny because these are cars branded by Western companies, but are built in China, so it's easier for them to export them to Iran.
Exactly. There are Western companies producing their cars in China and the specific model for Chinese market, but we import them to use it in Iran. Very sophisticated.
Yeah, but at least there is one country where you can import the cars without big problems, which is China.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so easy to import cars from China.
Nevertheless, you are saying that the tariffs, even on the cars coming from China, are too high.
Yeah, it's too high, except if you are importing EV cars or hybrid cars. Hybrid cars is around only 15%, which is 1.5. It's okay, and the EV cars is 5%, which is okay.
5 only.
Yeah. If you want to import a car, for example, a 1.5 turbocharged petrol engine, you need to pay lots of tariffs around it.
But so based on what you just said about the 5% tariffs on electric vehicles from China, I guess, Iran can become a good destination for the electric vehicles from China, no?
A great question. Actually, what's going on here about EV cars? We already have ID4. We already have Toyota BZ4X that I love it. It's a great car. We have Volkswagen ID Unix, great design. But and with a very logical prices comparing to other cars. For example, I can buy a very good EV car, 2025 model with lots of features and stuff. But if I want to exactly same price, I need to buy a very economical, very small car with only petrol engine. But the question that you ask, which is so great, that because we already have very lots of issues with electricity. We do not have sufficient stations for fast charging. We have lots of problems for EV cars, and we already have no station for fast charging between the cities. So if you buy an EV car in Iran, you need to use it inside your city. Exactly. And it has very high risk to start going to a trip and going to another city. The government is helping, a little helping, but and private companies are investing to increase the number of fast charging stations.
Well, okay, I get it. Yes, the infrastructure issues are always the case, even in the developed economies such as Europe and the US. But I mean, you have a good starting point from the fact that at least there is offer, and at least people in Iran, consumers in Iran, have choices when they want electric cars, because they are mainly coming from China, and China is the biggest EV producer. But what about the Chinese electric cars? I mean, not the ones made by the Western car makers, but the Chinese brands. So BYD, Chery, and many others. Do you also find them in Iran?
Yeah, we already have BYD Chin L, if I pronounce it correctly.
Chin, yeah, in Chinese, yeah.
Yeah, we already have it. We already have one kind of Chery. It's Chery FX, I think. I think the name is a little different.
The SUV, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Some other cars as well from Chinese brand, but they're EV.
Okay, so we could say that the Chinese car makers are gaining traction in Iran.
Yes, exactly, and we have some more automakers are investing here as well, and in the near future we could see that their cars are going to be in our market.
But when you say investing, you mean investing on factories?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it reminds me a bit the case of Russia, but it's different in the way that Russia, because of the sanctions, all of the Western car makers had to leave. And this became a big opportunity for the Chinese car makers to sell their cars without big competition. Actually,
exactly,
today, a big part of the Russian car sales are coming from the Chinese car makers.
Exactly.
Iran could become something like that, even though you guys have a bigger car industry than the Russian, because the production is higher, is bigger, and the state of Iran is actively involved in the production. So I guess my guess would be that they would like to protect this business they have, Saipa, ICO, and not allow all of these Chinese car makers to come to Iran unless they start producing.
You're right. And about the Russian market that you said, it was I was interested in that market as well after the Ukraine issues, and we all saw that all the European and American companies quitted the market, and China saw that, okay, this is a great opportunity for me. Let's eat them all. And nowadays, most of the cars in Russia are from Chinese brands. I don't want to say we have same conditions, but it's almost impossible nowadays. It's almost impossible for a European or American company to have a production line here. So Chinese brand could be here much, much easier with not a very great competition here. But now, when we started importing cars, they are a little worried now because I know the number of importing cars is not too high, but the Iranian customer has very much better and with better variety of choices now because I now can buy a BMW, a 2025 BMW, if I pay a little more. And now the Chinese are a little worried now in the Iranian market, but everything is going well. I think we have very big market here and everyone can sell their cars very easy.
Well, that's good news for the consumer. At the end, more choices means more competition and less and fewer prices. At least lower prices. I mean,
exactly.
Mohsin, let's talk a bit about the cars that Iranians drive. I remember some weeks ago I posted on my social media something around the top selling cars in Iran. And when you look at that, when you look at the ranking, it's like if Iran had been stopped in time.
Exactly.
And like if you guys still lived in the 80s, literally in the 80s, because most of these cars are from that period, they are still in production. Tell us a bit more what models we have there that are popular. Where are they coming from? Because not all of them are fully Iranians. So give us some feedback, some information.
Okay. You're absolutely right about it. And I saw and followed the comments about the posts that you publish on your Instagram and saw that many Iranian people just submitted many comments about your post. It was great actually for me. And you're so popular here. Everyone knows you.
Okay, good.
But due to many restrictions after the sanctions, working with European and American companies is too difficult. It's also almost impossible. And suspension of these, after these restrictions, we cannot access to new technologies. So, as you said, we are stopped in some point in our story. Especially Eco and Saipa cannot produce new cars in a high volume. They cannot produce, for example, a 2025 model car with a modern car in very high volume on their production line. So as you see, Saipa is producing more than hundreds of thousand cars, but the technology is too old. But the price is so low. If they remove such a car from their production line, they cannot replace it with another car, same price, same size, same economy. They cannot do it. So they keep trying to they just keep continuing this route. I think this is not right. This is not a good way that we are going, but we do not have another choice. Do you know Nissan Junior?
Yeah.
Very, very, very old car, and we produce it. It's great for you to know that we produce it only in blue color. I don't know why.
In Iran.
Yeah. But after ages, we still have this car on our production line.
But we're talking of this pickup that was introduced in the 70s or in the 60s, 70s,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you still have it and you can buy it brand new.
Yeah, exactly. And every year, government forces this company, it's called Zamyat, this company to remove such old car from their production line And they say that, okay, if we remove it, we cannot replace another car, another pickup with these capabilities and same
And
price.
price. So that's, and there are many other examples. For example, the Saipa Quick,
Yeah, you're
which
right.
is a Ford Festiva, which was a Kia Pride
Pride, yeah, exactly.
from the 90s, I think. Then, and the most interesting thing, at least for the Europeans and the French people, is that one of the top selling cars in Iran is the Peugeot 206.
206,
The
yeah.
first one, the first generation,
Yes, exactly.
which is a 25 years old car.
Yes, and many people love it. Still love it. I don't know why.
That leads me to my next question, Mosen. Why do we find so many old French cars in Iran?
Actually, that's a big question, and the answer is a little complicated because many years ago, when we back in 2015, I guess, when the sanctions were lifted and European companies came here to start production, to produce new cars. Peugeot had a very old contract with Eco, and they came here and renew it. And they could produce after 2 years in 2017, they could produce more than 400,000 Peugeots in Iran. 400,000 Peugeot, including Peugeot 206, Peugeot 301, and Peugeot 2008. And it was great number for them, and everyone was happy here, and Eco had a good collaboration with Peugeot, and every year we had new cars from Peugeot in Eco. And even Renault made a contract with Saipa to produce a couple of Dacia models, including Dacia Sandero and Dacia Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the same year, 2017, they could produce more than 160,000 models from Dacia models in Iran. Everyone was happy, but Iranian automakers prefer to work with French companies because before that, French companies were here and they have their adjustments here. The Jigo fixtures are from them, and very easy to just make a little change and make another config and just start the new production. It's great for you to know that Fiat was here as well, and Fiat had a very tight talking with Eco to start production of some models on their production line. But finally, Peugeot could win it. Unfortunately, in 2018, everything collapsed.
Was over.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
But still, these companies are using these parts to produce these French cars.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. What about the Iranian car market before the revolution? For those who are listening to us, there was a revolution in Iran in 1979, which changed everything. Iran was a pro-Western country back then. And after the revolution, it was under sanctions, basically. I mean, it was not a friend of the West. How was the car market before 1979?
Actually, it's about a very long time ago, but we have a company called Pars Khodro, which is controlled by Saipa. And Pars Khodro has a museum here, and you can see what they used to produce in those years. And you can see that they have a very big collaboration with General Motors. They used to produce Buick Skylark, and we call it Buick Iran. and we produce Cadillac Seville, and we call it Cadillac Iran here. And they even had some models of Jeep, some models of a model Opel Commodore on their production line, and you can't see them in the museum here in Tehran. But after the revolution, everything changed, and they actually quitted our market.
Okay. So before the
Yeah, Eco was started their company by producing Mercedes-Benz buses in Iran.
Oh, okay. I see. So before the revolution, there were even American car makers in Iran.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. So many things have happened since then. And basically, we could say that the Iranian car market has been shaped by geopolitics and sanctions. I mean, it's a huge country. Many people living there. You need cars, as in every country. So basically, what you did was to survive or keep making cars from what you knew and the very little things you could get, because you cannot import parts, right?
Exactly. We are trying to survive because, if you want to be in such a competitive market, you need new platforms, new investments, and you can see that even Mercedes, even BMWs are trying hard to keep themselves updated in such a market. And we have lots of problems here, actually.
It's a pity. It's a pity because it could be even bigger, and many car makers from everywhere could be producing cars without any problems in Iran.
Exactly, yeah.
Because actually, when you compare Iran, it's the largest car market in the region, in the Middle East region.
Exactly, yeah.
It's even bigger than Saudi Arabia, which has around 800,000. So
yeah, we are much bigger.
It has a potential, but unfortunately, it's a closed market, and you guys need to deal with these choices. What about safety? Because these cars are very old, are using old technology. So I would assume that there are no big safety regulations in Iran.
We unfortunately do not access to, for example, Euro NCAP or A NCAP or stuff for our cars. Like, for example, the Quick, you said. We cannot just test it in Euro NCAP or in A NCAP. We have some very small companies here, institution here, to rate the cars by safety, but it's very small. We do not have such a thing here in Iran. But people just used to know that if we want to buy an imported car, for example, Toyota, or even especially for Chinese brands, when they see a new Chinese brand, people keep asking, okay, what's the CNCAP? What's the rate of CNCAP? It is 5-star, is it 3-star or stuff? Maybe we don't have it, but they have it, and they definitely have tested in their country. But yes, as you said, we do not have such an institution here for safety.
But still, the consumer is, from what you just said, is aware of these things, even though the market is quite poor in terms of choices and in terms of safety and technology. The consumer in Iran is aware of these things, is aware of the technological changes and the evolution of cars, right?
Exactly, yeah. I remember that 2 years ago, MG5 in China, that we call it MG GT here, it was imported by a private company, and in the ceremony, everyone around the car was saying that, okay, this is the car that got 0-star in CNCAP. And it was a disaster for the company.
Really? It wasn't popular?
Some people still love it, but I don't know how it could get no star in that test, because if you do the minimum standards, you could easily get 3 stars in CNCAP.
I know.
I don't know what was happening there.
But it's a good thing that people are paying attention to this, the consumers. That's good.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it means that they don't buy anything, right? They just care. The prices of cars, Mohsen. What's the cheapest car in Iran right now, and what would be the price in euro, more or less?
Actually, the cheapest one is some models of Quick.
Saipa Quick, yeah.
Yes, Saipa Quick, and it is. Let me see if I want to say it, how much it is in
euro.
Maybe around 4,000 euros.
Really?
Oh, wow. So cheap.
Very cheap. But is it okay? I mean, it's cheap here, but is it cheap for the people in Iran too?
A little, but not like that in Europe, because the salary is not too high here.
But so you think that the market could be bigger if the production
much bigger, yeah.
More, if there was more capacity of production?
Exactly. Back in 2017, we could produce more than 1.5 million cars. Very easy. And they wanted to reach 2 million cars in that years.
And what happened? Why didn't you get there?
Because in 2018 the sanctions was
So this means also that even though you have developed your own industry, you are still dependent on parts coming from other places.
Yes. We are trying to do it.
You are trying to be fully independent, but it's very hard. I know.
Yeah, so hard. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting, Mohsen. I mean, I could talk to you about this the whole afternoon. Unfortunately, we don't have so much time. But just to finish this very nice conversation with you, it's always good to know new things. How do you see the future of the Iranian car market? We're seeing now that China is playing always a bigger role in Iran. How do you see the near future of this market, considering that China is going everywhere and is growing so fast everywhere, and Iran, I would say, can be one of their targets?
Frankly speaking, I think not everything, but most of it depends on the sanctions. If Iran could make a deal with the US, and European or even American companies could be here again, definitely Peugeot or Renault could produce a huge amount of cars here, and they could start production very fast because everything is here. The production line is here. The config is not changed a lot. But if they cannot make a deal with the US and the sanctions not lifted, after selling Eco to that private company, Great Wall came here, and they are talking with Eco to start to produce a kind of car on their production line. So I think we have a big opportunity here.
A Great Wall, which is a Chinese brand, to be produced by Eco in Iran.
Yes, exactly. And here we have a very big market in the Middle East, and people are very, very thirsty to buy new cars, to buy new model cars, and a great opportunity for automakers. China is already here, and they want to make a contract to increase their market share here in Iran. But if the sanctions are lifted, I think this is a brilliant opportunity for European automakers to catch that market share. But we are still waiting for these to see what's going on, and if Iran could make a deal.
But if you guys don't make a deal and the sanctions keep going, China can become a bigger partner.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So it could be a potential big market for the Chinese cars. We're talking of 1.2, 1.3 million units.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right.
It's always fascinating how geopolitics shape a car industry. Yours in particular is very unique. It's unique. I mean, you don't find these kind of markets anywhere else.
Yeah. Anywhere else.
Where I mean, it's so big and with very old cars around, but you can buy brand new. Actually, do they? Actually, just a silly question, but when a brand new Peugeot 206 in Iran smells new. I mean, when you go there, you can feel it's a brand new car.
No,
I know
it's not. No, not at all. You know, I had one of them, a Peugeot 206, I think, around 15 years ago. And the quality is absolutely different compared to the new one that Eco is producing now.
Ah, okay, I see. Mohsen from Kodro Bank, thank you very much for all of these insights. It's always good to talk to you. I'm sure the audience is going to like what we've been talking about. It's a totally new thing for the West, because that's the other interesting thing here. It's not only you, Iran, close to imports, but the rest of the world barely hears about what's going on in the Iranian car market. You don't hear much, and that's actually when sometimes you see publications about it, they create so much engagement and so much surprise, because people don't realize that old cars, Peugeot 405, for example, is still, I know, not anymore, right?
Not anymore, yeah.
All right, but it was produced until last year or 2 years ago. It's crazy to see these cars still on the road, but it's great to see you. It's great to having you here, Mohsen.
Yeah, it was my pleasure to talk to you about this. As you said, same you. I can't talk about it with you for the whole year. But
yeah, we'll have time in the motor shows.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for hearing this episode, and hope to bring you something soon, something as interesting as this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.